Luffy's final bounty after becoming Pirate King. Luffy is one of the 4 emperors of the sea and the protagonist of One Piece. Naturally, being the main character, Luffy's importance to One Piece was always going to be paramount, but, now, with the reveal of the law regarding the sun god Nika and Luffy's very own true powers, things have become more exciting than ever before. These things have also affected other aspects of One Piece, such as Luffy's infamy on the high seas, and, with that, his bounty as well. After the events of Wano, Luffy was officially made one of the 4 emperors of the sea and given an incredibly high bounty. But, as fans know, this is not going to be Luffy's last bounty and he is bound to gain further rewards as One Piece continues. Luffy's current bounty of 3 billion berries. Currently, Luffy has a bounty of 3 billion berries. This reward was given to him after the events of the War of Onigashima. In the Wano country arc, Luffy fought against Kaido on multiple occasions. They first met in Kuri, where Luffy was absolutely demolished by Kaido with minimal effort. Having been imprisoned in Udon, Luffy then started training rigorously, and this training resulted in him awakening the internal destruction grade of armament haki. With his armament haki having grown tremendously, Luffy was able to hold his own against Kaido in battle for a significant period of time. When they met again on the rooftop of Onigashima, Luffy showed that he was now capable of damaging Kaido in battle and that he could go on to injure him greatly. But, even internal destruction haki was not enough and Luffy eventually had to awaken advanced conqueror's haki in order to deal substantial damage to Kaido similarly. When even this power did not prove to be enough, Luffy had to rely on Devil Fruit Awakening, which gave him access to Gear 5. All these powers combined eventually led to Luffy defeating Kaido. These powers, when combined, also made Luffy one of the strongest characters in the world of One Piece, and that is why his bounty right now is 3 billion berries, and why he is considered to be a part of the 4 emperors of the sea. To many fans, Luffy's bounty, which was certainly very impressive, was not high enough. 3 billion berries is a high bounty for sure, but Luffy was placed in the same category as Kid and Law, despite clearly being much stronger than them. Furthermore, Luffy was the one who defeated Kaido and this defeat of the strongest creature in the world should be treated with more importance. Furthermore, the revelation of Luffy being Nika should also make the world government more wary, but, it could potentially have ended up being the reason why his bounty was not as high as it should be. Why Luffy will get a new bounty after Elbaff. Clearly, fans were not satisfied with Luffy's bounty of 3 billion berries, but that doesn't mean that his bounty is always going to stay this way. What is clear is that Luffy will continue to grow both in terms of power and infamy in One Piece as the story continues. This also means that One Piece will see Luffy gain higher bounties in the future and that certainly makes for a very exciting plot point for the fans to follow. After the events of Egghead Island, where Luffy essentially was responsible for destroying a massive marine fleet and escaping safely from the clutches of the world government, even when the 5 elders were involved, logic would dictate that he receive a new bounty. As things stand, Oda left Luffy's bounty untouched after Egghead. But, this only means that Luffy's bounty will likely rise after Elbaff, especially if the government forces are involved in this arc in some way. As things stand, the government is likely not on the way to Elbaff, but Oda could potentially see to it that Elbaff gets targeted with an ancient weapon. If that were to happen and Luffy manages to save the country, his bounty is likely going to grow significantly, and potentially cross even 4 billion berries. It would also be sensible for Luffy's bounty to cross 4 billion here when taking into consideration that he might fight Shanks here. As things stand, Shanks has a bounty of 4.0489 billion berries. Usually, when Luffy beats someone with a higher bounty, he also gets a bounty raise. This was the case with all his opponents, such as Cracker, Katakuri, and even Kaido, so Shanks should be no different. If Luffy successfully manages to beat Shanks, or even ties him in battle, then his bounty is likely going to rise as well and he should then be considered to be in the same league as the red-haired emperor. Luffy's final bounty after becoming Pirate King. Regardless of whether Luffy gets a new bounty after the events of the Elbaff or not, fans know that he will definitely get a new bounty after he finds the One Piece. Luffy will go on to claim this treasure eventually, and he will find the true history of the world, the true meaning of the D, and the true use of the ancient weapons. He will likely lead to these secrets being leaked out as well, and the people of One Piece will find out about the truth of the world. These matters will essentially bring Luffy's destiny to him, where he will have to then face off against the world government. This is going to be a massive event in the series, and for the government, Luffy is going to be the most wanted man. Clearly, at this point in the story, Luffy's bounty will have to surpass 5 billion berries. It shouldn't come as a surprise for the fans to see Luffy's bounty surpassing even that of Roger, and this is simply because he will have accomplished something that even Roger couldn't, and that is waging war against the world government, which is especially because he is the chosen one and Roger was too early. By the end of One Piece, Luffy's bounty should be at least 5.6 billion berries, if not higher. Of course, that is still quite a few years away, and fans will have to wait to see how Luffy manages to get there eventually and how much his bounty is truly going to be. But, fans can rest assured that before One Piece ends, Luffy will gain at least 2 new bounties. Oda is sure to make the events surrounding these new bounties as exciting as possible. All fans need to do is sit back patiently and enjoy the journey unfold.